Right, hello everyone. So today we're going to talk about all the future stuff that's coming out for GFL2. There's been quite a lot of content updates, and I also found some little stuff in all of my research. So let's start off with the first obvious one, which is Macchiato banner. This Macchiato banner is actually insanely good because Shakri also comes along with it. And even if you don't get Macchiato in the banner, you can actually pick up Krolik and Shakri, and both of them actually synergize pretty well with each other. Krolik applies fire passively, Shakri enjoys when people apply fire because she can shoot them, and she is also one of the best stability damage characters in the entire game for just breaking people, right? Because her entire kit is all about increasing stab damage to the target, and if you're able to trigger her overburn stuff, she will just keep shooting the target for even more stab damage. Really, really very powerful character, right? Nakiato herself is also a very powerful DPS. At V0, she's already better than a lot of the other DPSs that you see, like Mosin Nagant and Nemesis. But when you get her V1, she's only second place to Cheongju, who has 4 support attacks on a single target. So this character here is extremely powerful, right? She can only be second place to someone like Cheongju. That's already very high standard in this game. Okay, next banner is going to be Tololo's banner. This one requires targeted access permissions, so it is the limited pools, so do take note of that. And Tololo's banner comes with Ksenia, a decent support for the burn team, can provide attack buffs, can provide overburn. Litara is an AoE cover destroyer, I do not know anything else that she does. And Tololo is a Turbid character, right? Turbid character, she gets extra actions, she does a crazy amount of damage, and the extra actions let her do a lot of burst damage. Right, so she's a very powerful DPS in the early stages, and then later on, when one character releases, she becomes much better after she falls off a little bit, because until that character is released, she is not going to be very significant. Okay, next one, we're going to talk about the Selector banner, and this Selector banner was one of the reasons I think some Korean players got banned because they managed to access this banner. So this banner is supposed to come out in February, and in February what happens is that you can select one of these units, you can get yourself a 50-50 of the character, right? So if you selected Tololo here, you 50-50 her, or failed, unlucky, someone else appeared, then you get to guarantee Tololo on the next pool pretty much. So this thing here is really very good and helps you to collect all of these other characters here. Tololo, right, is a spookable character, meaning that if you lose 50-50, she can actually appear. Which means that if you go to Macchiato banner and you fail to pull, you can actually get a Tololo. So with that in mind, right, you probably should not be pulling this banner because Tololo could appear here if you fail, or later on when you get this Selector banner, well, not really a Selector, but you get the point. It's basically something that helps you improve your chances of getting the character. You can just use the standard ones to just try and get her eventually. Or if you want, just get Cheongju instead because she's like so much better, right? So this character is really very good, and honestly, Tololo, you can't really go wrong with her. She's still very strong. It's just that, you know, Macchiato's coming out and she is really very powerful character. Okay, so another thing is Shakri is here, and also like this banner here doesn't really have another supporty DPS type character. Ksenia is pretty solid. It's just that Shakri wants Ksenia, right? But Shakri by herself with some other characters like Krolik can already do a lot of extra work compared to Ksenia alone. If you want to pull this just to get her, and then after that pull a little bit, try to get Ksenia, I think that's a viable plan. Just be prepared to burn some of your pulls over here. And also for this access permission stuff here, that banner is not here yet. So you do want to save up whatever access permissions that you have right now, so that when this banner comes out, you will be able to start pulling for your characters that you want. Whether you want more vertebrates on your DPSs, or whether you want to pick up any characters that you do not have yet. Right, that one's up to you, but this part here, definitely try to save up at this point in time. Okay, next one is going to be the skins. Ballroom Interlude and Celestial River Dusk for Tololo and for Macchiato skins. Buy them when you want. I think Macchiato's one looks a little bit nicer. Tololo, I just don't feel anything too much about Tololo. I think she's cute, that's about it. Right, next one is Papasha equals to the guild is coming. So this part here, Papasha, we're getting her, and she's going to be a free SSR character. And she also comes with a free SR gun. PPSH, I believe it's called. And what happens with Papasha's release is that in the CN version, she comes with the guild event. So you get her for free first. And after that, the guild event unlocks, and you can get her duplicates later on to V6 her. Yep, you get her V6 for free. You also get the V6 gun for free. So you get everything for free. It's very powerful, right? But one very cool thing about this guild event here is that this guild will allow you to get Svarog. And Svarog is a SSR SMG, and SSR weapons are much better than SR weapons, right? So what do you expect from the guild, first of all? Is a team contribution kind of thing. All of you will just do some battles every single day where you fight against these things over here, and then you get these points, and these points will contribute to the entire team's point system, and you will get a certain amount of currency the better your team performs, right? And then what happens is that you also get performance bonus from this chest over here, gives you some extra pulls and stuff. Your guild leader gets to look over here and see what you guys have done, how well have you guys done, and kind of identify slackers according to my CN veteran friend. So if you have ever played a game with a guild in it, you will know there's stuff like daily quotas, weekly quotas. You need to hit a certain amount, otherwise you could risk getting kicked or you could risk getting benched depending on the game that you've played. I played Uma Musumi, I played Epic 7, so there's a lot of different types of guilds also, right? What to expect also is that with that currency that I was talking about just now, this guild currency, you can use it to get the SSR Svarot, you can get the PPSH, you can get some pulls, some cores, and all of these blueprints over here. These are the duplicates for all of these weapons. So you can get calibration 6 for all of these weapons pretty easily. After a while, you will just be able to trickle it, and then you just get all of this stuff eventually. Right, so another thing, depending on the placement of your guild in terms of performance, you will get a certain amount of gems. I'm guessing a lot of the whales and sweaty people will try to aim for up here. I think semi-competitive players will aim around here maybe. And then for those casuals, they might not really care. They just go in, get their 350 gems paycheck for basically no effort, and that is already good enough. I agree with that statement, by the way. I usually will stay around this area here, because trying to push to this area here is absolutely going to make you very, very stressed sometimes in some gacha games, and I tend to burn out if I really have to do this kind of stuff. So I generally just aim around here where I'm just kind of casual. If the dailies are easy, I'll definitely try to do them. If you can hit here pretty easily, I'll definitely try to hit here, because as long as it's easy, I'll just do it, you know. But if it's too sweaty, then nah, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, next one is gonna be the tier list. Right, so tier list for all these characters that are coming out. Where is Macchiato now? Macchiato in the Loots and Waifus one is in tier 1. In the CN one, she is considered tier 1, which is the highest one. So basically this is the tier 0 equivalent of the Loots and Waifus list. The reason being, this is V1 Macchiato and this is V0 Macchiato. Very, very big difference, as you can see here from both sides' point of view, right? Chakri, both sides generally agree. She's just below all of these super strong DPSs. Very, very powerful character. This one assumes that you're getting the full free support attacks from her. If you're not getting all 3 support attacks from her every single turn, then you lose a little bit of value. She might drop down here. So you definitely want to use her in a burn team. Try to get as many support attacks from her for extra DPS output, right? Next is going to be Tololo. Tololo is 0.5 over here, but tier 3 over here. Why is the difference so big? That's because of Springfield, who is now in tier 0. This is a new character who was released in CN, and she is giga broken. I'll explain her later, but pretty much she has raised Tololo stonks a crazy, crazy amount. Very, very powerful stuff. Right, and then Papasha, she belongs in tier 3 and for here tier 2. Generally considered not an important character. The reason being is that she has no element, and she is a very kind of tanky associated character. Like, tanks in this game are generally not the best way to go about things. It's better to kill people, right? If you can debuff them, do your element stuff, do more damage to them, you just win the game, right? You don't have to tank if they are dead. Death is the best sort of damage mitigation in a way. So in this game, you definitely just want to kill people before they kill you. And so that's why all of these DPSs are generally rated higher compared to a lot of these other characters down here who have no element and provide not really a lot of extra damage output. But you can always make things work depending on the content. Just make sure you know what you're doing. If you need a tank, you just take someone from the tanky role down here. If you need more DPS, if you need more mobility, just take people with higher mobility, take more DPS supports, blah 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 blah. Right? Team matters more, remember that. You can make any team work as long as you use your brain, Shikikan. Okay, next one I'm going to talk about is going to be, are you stuck in a story event? If you're still stuck at this stage. I saw a few people posting about getting stuck in some hard events, challenge modes and whatnot. Just go find yourself a good old whale with level 52 on every character, fully built attachments, and just use their money to push your content, alright? Just go and do that, because generally if you're having trouble, it's either because you lack DPS or you have not built your DPSs enough. In this game, DPS is everything. B6 Suomi can let you live for 10 years, but if you can't kill them in the time that the content requires you to kill them in, then there's no point. So just pick up a Cheongju or a Tololo and just go and kill all of your enemies. Alright? Next is going to be SSR Weapons. So the fact that we get Svarog for free is very, very good, because SSR Weapons, in terms of signature versus non-signature SSRs, there is only a small amount of difference. Like, it can be more significant if you can get higher calibration, but in general, it is not so significant between the V0s. But the moment you get it over an SR weapon, a purple weapon, it's a huge difference, a very big difference in stats. So Svarog is very, very good. If your Swami is still using a blue weapon or a purple weapon, just slap that Svarog onto her. Or when Vector comes out, slap that Svarog onto her if you can't get her signature or can't get a better SMG. Like, just use whatever SSR that you can get over whatever SR that you get, even if the passive just cannot trigger, because stat stick wise it is more important to get the stats than it is to get the passive. Right, so just a thing to note here. This is the general rule. There might be some exceptions, but I have not researched enough to talk about any of these exceptions. But generally, stat stick is more important than not stat stick. Alright, next is going to be Shakri Summarized. I'm going to talk very briefly about these characters. Shakri, once you get key number 2, you need to put her in the burn team, and then whenever you apply over burn to any target, depending on what character, like Krolik can apply to 2 characters, your Cheongchu hits 2 people with the AoE, can apply to 2 characters. Shakri will shoot every single one of them up to 3 times, like a mini Cheongchu, just that the condition is burn. Very, very powerful character for the burn team. And this is just a SR character, right? This character can also nuke stability like never before. Her ulti increases stability damage, her skill 2 increases stability damage, and her ulti can be stacked twice. So she can do a crazy amount of stability damage, and you can also get extra attacks out of her to do even more stability damage. When you break people, they die. So this character, really very powerful support slash DPS character. Very, very strong, right? Macchiato, why is V1 so significant? This will be the most asked question. So V1 makes her big damage skill, her skill 1, which is a sniper shot to a target, deals a lot of ice damage. Makes her V1, right? Her V1 makes that skill into a 2-shot instead of a 1-shot. But it's not just that, right? Her V1 makes it so that when you do the 2 shots, if the first one crits, the second one 100% crit chance, and gets additional crit damage for massive amounts of damage, right? The V1 makes that 1 shot become 2, but not only that, also makes it get more crit damage for even more DPS. It's kind of crazy, and if you can even apply ice onto the target, she will get stability ignore, right? And she will also deal additional percentage damage to the target. And if she's full HP, she has natural 10% attack. She also gets a lot of extra bonuses. Like, this character is really very, very powerful, but really only shines when you get V1. V0, it will just be stronger than like Mosin or Nemesis, not really as strong as Cheongchu. But V1 makes her only 2nd place to Cheongchu in terms of single target damage. A very, very powerful character. Definitely do try to get the V1 if you can. And if you can't, don't worry about it, because what happens is that you get the V0 now, and then later on, when she reruns, you just get the V1 dead. No problem at all. Right? Most of these banners will rerun eventually. Mika will not screw you over and let one character disappear for 1 year. Alright? It will come eventually. Okay. Next is Papasha. Papasha summons a city guard, a robot kind of enemy. But this enemy is going to be your ally. And this ally can shoot people, can do some Overwatch shenanigans once you get higher vertebrae. So if someone attacks your ally, he will shoot them, and then he can also do action support stuff, and he can also tank hits for you. He can't be healed directly though. If you heal Papasha directly, you will actually heal him by 10%, which is not very good. But still, it is still some way to just kind of heal that robot lah. It's just that when the robot dies, it will go into stasis for 2 turns, can't be killed at all, it's invulnerable, and then it comes back after 2 turns, full HP, so you can treat that thing as a disposable robot to just throw into your enemies, right? One of the weaknesses of Papasha is that she has no element, right? So that's why in the tier list she's very, very low, right? A lot of the characters that are good usually have an element associated with them, with the exception of Diane, who is just straight up raw physical damage output and very high mobility, which is why she's so very, very good in the tier list, right? They are also going to be reworking physical eventually, so this may not be the case in the future. So don't look down on all of these characters who only do physical for now. Later on, once this rework actually hits, right, you might see some of these tier lists change, and I don't think they will make one of the big waifus of Diane become a low-ish tier character for very long. I swear Diane stonks will go up to like tier 0 at some point. So do look out for Diane, alright? Once physical gets reworked and they put some support in there, I swear Diane's going to become like a core character. right? So just take note of that for the future. Papasha, hell, if Papasha actually has some good physical support stuff, she might actually become a very good character later on. So just take note of that for the future stuff. Right, so now I'm going to just briefly talk about the teams that are going to be coming out in the future. Your Tololo Stonks, first of all, are going to become absolutely massive once Springfield comes out. Springfield is the GFL1 art, this is the GFL2 art. Girl got a huge glow up and also has a new bird, right? So when she ults, right, this character does Suomi level mitigation. She increases your health by, I believe, 100% of her attack. It's either her attack or your max HP. She basically doubles your health. And then when that buff ends, she full heals you based on her attack. It's basically 100% of her attack. So based on her attack, she will heal you and also increase your health. Like, this shit is ridiculous. I'm sure I got the scalings wrong, but whatever the case is, you basically get a double health pool, right? That's really very, very strong, right? It's like a Suomi shield, but except it's raw health. And this character also heals you, right? So that raw health is just shield that can be regenerated. So that shit is crazy, right? When you think about it. And then she also dispels debuff. She also dispels taunt and stun, like as an additional line. That's in the V0 only, I think, right? So that is really very powerful. She also has extra action like Tololo. She also provides a damage buff to Turbid damage. So that also buffs Tololo again. And the extra action from her also lets her do some pretty nasty shit, right? So this character, holy shit, man, she has so much shit in her kit. She doesn't have the same like big list in the GFL2 character sheet, right? But it's almost comparable to the size of Suomi's character sheet. Suomi's character sheet is like 2 pages long. Hers is like 1.5 pages long. It is very, very powerful. And she is the reason why Tololo Stonks are going to rise like absolutely crazy. This character provides so much utility to the Turbid team that it will actually exist afterwards. Like, really. And you also don't really need Cophony anymore, because this character straight up full heals you. Like, you don't need any more supporting. Just go and get more DPS into the party and just watch everything die. It looks really, really powerful and really, really cool. She also very, very cute. Very, very nice. Alright, so that's the Turbid team. Next is, where do my Shakri go? Where do my Ksenia go if I get them? Slap them into the burn team with Krolik over here, and Cheongju preferably as the main DPS. If you can't get that, just use Macchiato for now lah. Basically what happens is that Macchiato, she can actually perform pretty well by herself already, right? She just enjoys a little bit of chill. You can use Swoopy for that. And then Shakri, she enjoys a little bit of burn. So if you just get even one burn support, she already get some value. And Krolik is a pretty decent solo burn support. Later on, Vector will come out. She'll be a very good burn support for Shakri to trigger even more attacks. And then you will be able to just use Macchiato with a little bit of Suomi action, and then you can use Shakri to help break stability and use Krolik to trigger more attacks, and then you have yourself a pretty decent hybrid team that doesn't really do too much of each other's statuses, but they still support each other in some way. So there's a lot of mix and matching you can do. It's not just, oh, mono element. Nah, some characters can belong to multiple teams. Cheongju in particular can actually go into the Ice team, because the Ice team is all about applying the chill, right? But then what they need is additional stability damage, because they're very tanky already because of Suomi. And then now you add Cheongju, congratulations, she just shoots 4 times per turn, and then you don't even need the overburn from her abilities, and you just break stability, you just do extra damage. Congratulations, you have yourself a really good, strong team that just not only like enables Macchiato, but also has Cheongju in it, because yeah, why not? Right, so I think that's going to be it for most of the team comp stuff. The last one is just going to be me yapping about the feat of this game, because holy shit, man, at level 40 I got some of these poses, and in the dorm room the feat of these characters are so ridiculously detailed. I don't think I've ever seen such a detail of feat in any gacha game. I'm not sure if Nikkei has it, but I don't think Nikkei even focuses on the feet. Nikkei is like the butt. And then for Hoyo games, it's usually the armpit. And then GFL2 is decided, let's just do the feet. And these feet are incredibly detailed compared to any other feet I've seen in any other gacha game. So yeah, that's my feet praise for the day. Alright, that's all. The last part here, if you made it past that part, is the daily free gift pack. Make sure you go ahead and claim that for your day. Alright. That's all I think for most of this stuff here. The most important stuff to talk about here is absolutely Macchiato banner, as well as the Tololo banner. This is going to be the lower value, perceived lower value unless waifu, in which case ignore all advice, alright? So this is the perceived lower value because of this thing coming out in February. It's still a long way, okay? It's still a long way, so do not be afraid. You can just hoard up these tickets now. If you did burn all of your tickets, no worries, alright? You will build up eventually, and you did need to pull all of these characters here to try and give yourself a little bit of a buff, right? So no problems at all. Just burn this if you want. If you're near pity, just burn it first, and then after that you just go to the saving mode and wait for this selector banner to come out later on. Not sure if the pity rate is correct, but yeah, pretty much you will be able to get a higher chance of getting all of these characters over here later on, especially Tololo, who is still a spookable character. So Wawa, try to get V1 if you can. If you can't, get V0. Otherwise, wait for the rerun and then get her. Later on, Duchef will come out, and Duchef is a pretty damn good support for Macchiato. A premium ice support, basically. You don't really need her, but you can totally use her with Macchiato, because Macchiato still loves it when targets are chilled, and Douche is a pretty good chill character for her and has some action support to help with stability break. Alright, so that's going to be it, I think, for this whole video over here. Thanks for watching. If I missed anything, just let me know. Alright, that's all. See you guys next time. Bye bye.